We're live.
Well, what's going on, folks? Cheers, y'all. Welcome back to the Fish Life Podcast, the lowest budget, actually live podcast, because we're the lowest budget for sure. We are actually live. That makes all of y'all the low ballers. Welcome back. Tonight we should have a very interesting episode if you're a bass fishing fan, because Bassmaster season just wrapped up, and I believe we're the first ones to cover this, but the Bassmaster League Series is making big cuts this year. They're cutting 23 guys from the Angler of the Year list. I'm going to tell you all the details. I talked to Mercer today, talked to a couple of the anglers over text, and kind of found out how they're doing the cuts, what they're using to decide who's not going to be there anymore. Mm-hmm. And me and Chris did a whole lot of math. We're going to explain it all to you. We're going to tell you who's not going to be on the Elite Series next year. And did we just witness a legend come to an end? No more Rick Clunn on the Bassmaster Elite Series, guys.
Spoiler alert.
That is going to be included along with other legends and a whole lot of interesting names. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, because if my information that I got from the insiders is correct, this list of names that we put together yep, it's the lowest budget. Actually live. That list of names right there, it's another low budget type of list, but that list of names right there is the guys that are no longer going to be on the Elite Series as far as me and Chris can figure it out. I really don't know where to go from here. I think I've already screwed the whole thing up. So,
and I'm going to be honest with you, that was a lot of work, so I really hope y'all enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it took us like an hour and a half.
We were sitting here we're starting a little late tonight because we had to do math.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a real. So cheers, y'all. It's the Fish Life Podcast. Let's get it. What are you doing?
Thirsty.
What was that noise?
I'm thirsty from all that hard work. I'm drinking water.
Is that how you drink water?
Yeah.
Do it again. Can't you? Oh my God. What is wrong with you?
My body needs the water.
Why are you making that noise?
There's not even a noise.
Are you like sucking it out of the water bottle? What's happening here?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Just pour it.
No, don't do that.
Good grief, son. I about lost my lunch over that one. You're still doing it? Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
Take it easy there, Camel.
Dude, I drank 2 Dr. Peppers today, so I'm a little bit dehydrated.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get back.
Why are we shoving water down our
Hey,
throat?
look, it's J-Bo.
J-Bo's in there.
What's up, J-Bo?
I can't get over how you're drinking water.
It's okay.
It's
Mysteries of the unknown.
I don't even know what to even say at this point. Like I'm lost.
Why do I feel like you're judging me?
Okay, folks, back to the podcast at hand.
It was fun. We're having
I'm give me a second. We'll get it back on track.
Wrestling Gatorade.
We'll get it back on track here in a minute, because Chris has lost his mind. Doesn't even know how to drink. Is that a corona effect from your coronavirus you had?
Yeah, it's one of the after effects.
It's one of the, you drink water like that now?
Yeah, I can't.
Don't get the COVID, folks. You'll drink water like a short bus rider. Watch out.
Yep.
Hey, that's right. Somebody said, Big John says, thumbs up and share. Hey, do that for us. We do appreciate all you guys watching. Like we said, we're going to break down the Bassmaster Elite Series cut line, because to me, that's the most interesting story coming out of this. And I don't think anybody else has covered it yet, so we want to discuss it with y'all. But we're going to cover the cut line in depth. Oh, you did it without doing the noise.
Is that better?
Yes, that was much better. Thank you. I don't feel like I'm sitting next to a weird person. But as you guys come in here, we appreciate you watching so much. And if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up for us, especially if you enjoy this. Even if you don't, just hit the thumbs up. It'll help us. And we need all the help we can get, obviously, right? So do that. Comment. Let us know who we're talking to. Comment in the chat. And also share this thing. When you share it, that really helps us the most. So do that.
Let's go over the 2 scenarios.
Okay.
Involving
Well, hold on. Before we jump on that, Taku Ito.
Taku
Ito.
And he was catching
R2D2, but from Japan, that can bass fish. And that sucker,
because he had over a 4-pound average.
he won an Elite Series, and he called him up on the smallmouth.
90 pounds, I think, is what he had, like on the nose.
Is he your favorite guy to listen to at weigh-in?
100%.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
No, that guy has more quotes from 1 year, from this year, on the Elite Series. You can quote his weigh-in speeches more than anybody else over the last 5 years combined.
I literally, it's funny you say that because I caught like a 4-pounder on fork yesterday on a swim jig.
Yeah.
And I was literally doing the taco E2 on the way to
Oh,
the
big
boat.
fish, too much
I
strong
was
for
saying,
me.
too much strong fish.
Yeah.
And Houston started laughing and he was like, taco E2. And
That's
I was
right.
like, exactly, man.
That's right.
Household name.
Yeah, he is. And I think the thing that everybody likes the most about him, he is just so upbeat and positive and happy. And he feels like a guy that's literally just happy to be there. Mm-hmm. And so to see that guy have success like he has is a lot of fun, man. He's a fun guy to watch. And I think we all pull for Taku. So congratulations to Taku. Congratulations to the entire Bassmaster Elite Series on an outstanding year. It was a great year.
Congratulations, Seth Fighter, old llama.
Llama 1-8, dude. That thing was over at Champlain. Really, it really was. I mean, unless he just didn't show up to the boat ramp come Thursday, that deal was done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mathematically all he had to do was show up and fish.
Well, mathematically, he needed to make the cut.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so it was over on Friday, and they gave him the AOY on Friday because it was officially done then. But I mean, you knew up north on a smallmouth fishery, Seth Fighter, he's not going to let that slip through his hands up there in his part of the world. There's no way. He has always been one of the best smallmouth anglers on planet Earth for a long time.
You'd literally have to super glue his keyhole in his boat.
Yeah, he just has to not show up the ramp.
And then he would still win.
Probably.
Because he'd
probably get on stroller motor.
Yeah,
he'd probably make the cut. Yeah, because he's that good at smallmouth fishing.
Yeah.
That is true. Congrats to Seth Fighter. Congratulations to the whole organization. This is one of my more fond Bassmaster Elite Series years, partially because I got to get more involved at the events. I got to get behind the scenes with the guys. I got to get to know Dave Mercer a little bit, who tunes into some of our stuff, and he'll probably start tuning into it more often again now that the Elite Series season is over. He'll be up there in Canada, bored, wishing he was in the South catching big bass, and he'll probably watch our channel more like he used to before the season got cranked back up. But either way, man, it was awesome to get to know so many of the folks over there, so many of the anglers that I've gotten to know this year, and I mean, I don't even want to start listing because I'll leave too many out.
It just opens your eyes once you get more involved with it. And
it's a really cool organization.
Talk to these guys, and
it really does feel like a big family back there. And there doesn't feel like there's really any animosity between anglers. Like they're all pulling for each other. It's a really cool environment to be. I've never been or even heard of anything where you're at the very top. Like you're at the apex of this game, right? These are the best in the world. And they're not just at each other's throat.
That's right.
Usually when you get to the top of any business, any sport, any industry, it doesn't matter. When you get to the top, guys are at, I mean, look at the guide business on Lake Fort. You know what I mean? Like when you get to the pinnacle, there's rivalries. There's dudes that are mad at each other, man, and they don't like anything about each other because they're type A personalities and they're competitive, they're driven. These guys somehow manage to be that and compete that way, but be very respectful and appreciative and helpful of each other. I've never seen anything quite like it. I really haven't. It's pretty unique.
What I like about it too is I'm not saying there's not a one on the roster, but I can't name one off the top of my head that walks around with that nose in the air either. You know what I mean? They're all willing to stop and talk to you. Just good people.
Yeah, good people. Yeah, so David Mullins, somebody said what David Mullins did at Wayne letting Chris go hold his bag with him was pretty cool. Yeah, it was really cool. There's always those moments, always those moments on the Elite Series where there's that bond, man, that bond between fishermen. And they exemplify it better than anything I've ever seen. So it's a really cool organization. Now, let's get into the meat of this discussion here. We told y'all we're going to talk about the cut line, and that is what tonight's podcast is mainly going to focus on because it's so interesting to me. Some of the names that are on this list are so interesting to me. So what they're doing, okay, from the best I can gather from talking to a couple anglers and talking to Mercer, they're cutting 23 guys off the AOY list. They're going to have 90 anglers on the Elite Series next year. Right now there's 100 on the Angler of the Year list. There was 95 in the field this week, but there's 100 anglers on the Angler of the Year list, on the points list. They're going down to 90 next year. There's 13 new ones coming in from the Opens or whatever have you, new qualifiers. There's 13 coming in. That means we got to get rid of 23 guys. And what they're doing, from best I can understand, is taking an average of the 2 or 3 years prior, depending on how many years they have been on the Elite Series. So if they fished For 2 years, you get a 2-year average. For 3 years, you get a 3-year average. I believe, and I didn't confirm this, but I believe the guys that have only been out there for 1 year, I believe they get a pass. They're not going to be one and done. I think they get an extra year. I'm not 100% sure on that. So we made a list that there's actually 3 guys that would have fallen within the cut list that have only been there for 1 year.
Yep.
So we're going to tell y'all who those guys are in case we're wrong on that. Last week, by the way, we were wrong on something.
Yeah, we got the schedule.
We were confused about the scheduling. We saw John Cox on the board at Champlain, and for whatever reason didn't snap to the fact that MLF was on St. Louis, not Champlain.
Right.
And we thought they voted to let him in. They actually did not. The anglers voted to not have John Cox fish because he broke the no information rule by being on the water. And like we said last week, I didn't have a problem either way that rule went. I would understand. It is a rules violation. It is an advantage for him to be on that water,
right.
especially in a professional level tournament environment like that. It's a huge advantage. So I understand the guys voted him out. I probably would have voted to let him fish myself, but I'm not in those shoes, so I can't make that call. And I don't have any problem voting the other way. That wouldn't have bothered me either way that vote would. But they did vote to not let John Cox fish this week. All right. Let's get started on this list. So we got 23 guys that got to go. And so me and Chris took the time and looked up the last 3 years anglers of the year, wrote down everybody's placings. Basically, we did the bottom half of the field.
Yeah, I'd say about that.
We did the top 45 to 50, the bottom 45 to 50 guys from this year's 100 list. And then we looked at where their rankings were in 2020 and 2019, and we did the average of those 3 years. So, that being said, the first guy out is going to be Tyler Carrier. Carrier? I'm not real sure how to pronounce his last name. He's had a rough go. He's been there for 3 years. All 3 years he's been near the bottom. He's the bottom guy. Rick Morris, not a whole lot better. He's on down there. Dale Hightower, he's out. Here's a big name. Been at the bottom, been near the bottom all 3 years. David Fritz, one of the legends. He's another legend that's now gone. The old folding chair is about to have to go to the crappie tour. You know what I'm saying? Like, David Fritz is gone, and that is a shame. Now, there is something that Bassmaster has put into play in the past called the Legends exemption, right? I'm not 100% sure on exactly how that works and how they can award that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know that's how they got Swindle and Polnick back in. When they decided to leave Bass Pro Tour after 1 year, they used the Legends exemption. There are qualifiers for Legends exemption. I think they're only supposed to do 1 a year or 2. I don't know how many a year they can do.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if David Fritz qualifies under Legends. I guess he does because he's won a classic. I don't know what the qualifiers are.
Yeah,
It's never been general public knowledge of how the Legends exemption works.
Right. Right. Just like
I mean, do you have any more knowledge than I do on it?
I don't have no. I don't know how they construct that.
How they award it, I don't know.
Yeah, because it was being talked about whenever Ike and Ellie wasn't going to fish Bass Pro Tour this year. That
He might get a Legends exemption.
Right, and so I just don't know what qualifies.
And he would have qualified, whatever it is. He's won. So you have to. Somebody's saying Zach 201 XL says
Classic
if you've
or
won a
AOY?
classic or an angler of the year.
Okay.
Fritz was the first legend to use the Legend exemption. Now let me ask you this: once a guy uses a Legend exemption, if he doesn't make the cut, is he now gone and he can only use it once?
That's a good question.
Or can they just award 1 or 2 Legends exemptions every year? And they can choose to give it to Fritz and Clunn if they want to.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it a gray area? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not real clear on the Legend. There is a lot of unknown, I think, for most people about the Legends exemption. But either way, right now, we're going to go with the list on the points. David Fritz is out. Gary Klaus, the Phoenix boat owner, he's out. He's the guy that owns Phoenix Boats. He's the head guy for Phoenix Boats. He's out. Brett Pruitt. Rick Clunn. Rick Clunn is the 7th guy out of 23. It's not like he was borderline, man.
Yeah, and not like he's Bubble Boy.
No, it's unfortunate to see, man. Tom is, we've seen Rick Clunn in flashes do really good. Won a tournament a couple years ago in Florida. He had that one really good bag last fall at the Lake Fork event, and then kind of fell off in that event. After that, we've seen him flash every once in a while, but these standings over the last 3 years don't lie, dog. Like, they don't lie.
Yep.
He's the 7th worst Elite Series angler over the last 3 years. That's what the points say.
Yep.
Time has caught up to him. I mean, that's the bottom line. Time has caught up to him, in my opinion, and it's a shame because
2-spot
he's
T-shirt.
arguably the best that's ever done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can make that argument. Rick Clunn is the best that's ever done it. But
We're talking current day.
dude, it's caught up to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not doing it anymore. He's not getting it done. And people are saying they can do 2 Legends exemptions a year. So I guess that means if they want to bring in of these guys that got cut, a Rick Clunn, or what if Roland Martin's like, hey, I want to fish a tour with my son? They let Roland Martin in? They could, technically.
Could.
But I don't think that would happen. But anyways, Rick Clunn. Then we got Rob Dye, Cody Holland, Quentin Capo, who I hate to see go. I love Quentin Capo, man. He's a fun dude. He's a really nice guy. It's just a shame that he had a rough run over the last 3 years. Harvey Horn, another fun guy. Robbie Latuso, a Japanese dude that I can't pronounce his whole name, but the last name I believe is Miyazaki. Shane Lineberger. Kyle Monty's another guy that I got to meet his first year on Lake Ford. Really nice guy. Kelly J, not Kelly Jordan, but Kelly J, Jaye. He came out of the gate his first year and had a really good first couple of events, and then since then has just not done very well. He's in the cut. Chris Grow is outside the cut. Destin DeMarion, who I just recently met. Now, Destin DeMarion's only been there for 2 years, but he is, according to my information, below the cut line. He's going to be gone. Bill Weidler, another guy that I've met and gotten to know a little bit. They're all such good dudes. And Bill Weidler he won an event. He won a smallmouth event, and he's below the cut line. Garrett Paquette right now is below the cut line. And Garrett Paquette, when he came out, was competing for Rookie of the Year his first year. And everybody thought he was going to be one of the next great studs. And here's Garrett Paquette below the cut line after 3 years. I believe Garrett Paquette, he's gone for sure. I don't think there's anything Garrett Paquette can do to not be cut. There's no way, even if they do cut the 1 year guys that are below him, he's still not going to make the cut. Then these last 3, it gets interesting. Randy Pearson, Randy Sullivan, and Brian Snowden. So those are the last 3 guys out. First of all, before we go any further with that, Bernie Schultz is the one that barely made it in. Bernie Schultz had a great event this weekend. And what you guys just watched, when you watch Bernie Schultz this weekend, you just watch him save Bassmaster Elite Series life, what he did. He just saved his Bassmaster Elite Series life this weekend. Bernie Schultz is the first guy, the bottom guy in. He's the bubble boy. He made it. Now, the reason that I say that those bottom 3 are interesting, Randy Pearson, Randy Sullivan, and Brian Snowden, those are all interesting to me. Because you have Daryl Gleason, okay, who finished 77th this year, Kenta Kimura, who finished 69th, and Justin Atkins, who finished 68th. All 3 of these guys are first-year guys on the Bassmaster Elite Series. All 3 of them have a points ranking with 1 year that is below Randy Pearson, Randy Sullivan, and Brian Snowden. Those 3 guys are at 65.6, 62.6, and 61.6 on their average rankings in the Angler of the Year race.
That's right.
If they cut the first-year guys, those 3 guys are still alive, and Garrett Paquette is now the first one out. Randy Pearson's the last one in.
That's right.
But if they do you're not going one and done, then it's going to be, then those 3 guys are going to be out. And I'm not real sure how that's all going to shake out. There's so many moving parts of this. I'm not really sure all the exact details. But that's the disadvantage of being the first guys to try and cover this. We really don't know what we're talking about. We got a general idea.
We have no clue.
I got a little bit of inside information and tried to do some math, and it's us doing the math. So some of this is subject to be wrong for the record.
Up for debate is a good word.
Yeah. Which one of those names, I mean, what are the names, what are the highlights on there that stand out to you?
The ones that stand out to me, and not even talking about the Legends exemption because I don't know how they're going to be used, but obviously David Fritz and Rick Clunn stick out. On down the list, the Kyle Monty and Kelly J. Kelly J is probably the one that sticks out the most to me in the sense of
He started so good.
He started so high.
Started so good. Mm-hmm.
And then
It just seemed like he was on TV catching fish a lot when he
That's
first
right.
got out on
That's
the Elite
right.
Series. Yeah.
So, yep. Kelly J is probably going to be mine.
Billy Craig had said, "This is totally messed up. Who cuts Rick Clunn from the Bassmasters? He's a true legend and one of my favorite pros and has been for a very long time."
I think he's been everybody. He's been 3 generations' favorite.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No, and especially being he's from Texas, East Texas guy.
Right.
Rayburn,
Yeah,
lived around Rayburn for so long. We're all fans of Rick Clunn. And they probably will use the Legends exemption. I'm
sure.
assuming they probably will use the Legends exemption. But even if they use the Legends exemption, the whole point of this deal is, and we titled it this way, is have we seen the end of the legend that is Rick Clunn?
Yeah.
Because even if they use the Legends exemption, the stats don't lie, dude. He's the 7th worst Bassmaster Elite Series Pro over the last 3 years combined.
Yeah.
And all the guys below him have all fished all 3 years. So and several of the guys ahead of him fished all 3 years. Like, it's not like, well, there's a 1 year guy or 2 year guy. Rick Clunn over the last 3 years is the 7th worst Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Period. End of story. That's what the math says. And as much as I love Rick Clunn, you cannot argue mathematical statistics.
No, and I mean even our math, like that's
Even our math.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fact.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's so if they use the legend exemption, does it really matter? Is the legend still kind of over?
right.
Because for 3 years, the legend's been over.
Right.
Yeah, he'll flash every once in a while and have a good day or a good event, but he's just not Rick Clunn anymore.
Okay, so I got a comparison to that.
Okay.
Okay, so who's another guy that you think of when you say names like Rick Clunn?
I mean, there's several. I mean,
Okay.
Roland Martin, Rick Clunn,
One that's still doing it.
one that's still doing it now.
Not on this roster.
Well, when I say Rick Clunn, I think of Kevin Van Dam.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay.
Because they both won 4 classics. So
Is Kevin Van Dam the same Kevin Van Dam he was?
no.
He'd flash every now and then.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but Kevin's not at the bottom of the angle of the year list.
I understand.
He's not even close.
No, I know, but I'm just
he's not
saying-
winning like he used to, but he's not he's not at the bottom tier either.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he's competitive in most every event that he signs up.
Right. I'm just saying
He makes a lot of cuts.
the flash effect for me is winning a tournament.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem is with Rick Clunn, a lot of times the flashes aren't even wins.
Right.
They're one day. He flashes and catches a big bag.
Mm-hmm.
You can always depend on Tim Rose to throw a good comment in there for us in the chat room. He said he is a legend, but he is 1 year away from needing one of those canes with the suction cups on the bottom to stand up in a boat. He was winning tournaments before color TV. That's right. That's right. Cody May says they're gonna. I don't know if he's talking about us. He might be talking about us. He says they're gonna tick him off, and he's gonna beat the brakes off everyone next year, then retire. Man, if you're saying we're gonna do that, I would love to take credit for that. I hope that does, and I think we all hope that does happen. We hope he gets a legend exemption and comes back and just has a top 10 AOY or something crazy like.
Yeah.
That would be awesome to see that.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't love that?
I mean, I think that'd be awesome.
What else stands out? Anything else stand out on that to you? And you guys drop it in the comments. What on that list? We'll go over the list one more time in a minute. But what on this list stands out to you? We'll go over it right now. What on this list stands out to you guys? First guy out, Tyler Carrier, something like that. Rick Morris, Dale Hightower, David Fritz, Gary Klaus, Brett Pruitt, Rick Clunn, Rob Dye, Cody Holland, Quentin Capo, Harvey Horn, Robbie Latuso, Miyazaki, Shane Lineberger, Kyle Monty, Kelly J, Chris Groh, Destin Marion, Bill Wadler, Garrett Parquette, Randy Pearson, Randy Sullivan, and Brian Snowden. Those are, by our math, those are the 23 guys that are going away unless they kick out the 1 year guys, which would be Daryl Gleason, Kenta Kimura, and Justin Atkins.
I mean,
Justin Atkins probably, even though we don't think he's going because he's a first year guy, Justin Atkins shocks me because he was good on the Bass Pro Tour.
real good.
He was solid on the Bass Pro Tour and took the gamble to come over to the Bassmaster Elite Series, and I mean he finished 68th.
Yep. That's on down there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean you can speculate all you want, but these numbers don't lie.
And the other thing, I know I mentioned this, but the Kelly J is shocking because how he started. No doubt he started off doing good. But also like a Bill Wadler, a guy that's won an event in the last 3 years. For that matter, Rick Clunn's won an event in the last 3 years.
Yep.
But it just, as cool as winning is, and as cool as that big check is, it just goes to tell you it's a lot more important to be real consistent.
And you know what was funny is when we were constructing these lists, we were comparing obviously the 3 different AOYs, and you didn't have to scroll real far when we got to a certain point.
A lot of time, especially towards the very bottom, the
Yes.
standings were very consistent.
Yes. So you can argue that they were consistent. Some of them.
Well, consistently bad.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
especially the guys right down the bottom, yeah.
It started getting pretty interesting once you get in the guys that were finishing 55th to about 63rd this year was when it kind of started getting interesting because you would see the
fluctuation in the standings.
Yeah.
Well, and our buddy Frank Talley.
Yeah.
Last year saved Frank Talley. Frank Talley would probably be in this list if it wasn't for last year.
That's right.
He finished 15th in Angler of the Year last year, which jumped his average way up.
Way up.
Because he was down, we threw those other papers out. I know he had like a 74th and I think a 70 something else or a 60 something. He was on down there except for 2020. He had a 15th.
Yep.
So he had a great 20. I mean, it's a phenomenal year to finish 15th in Angler of the Year on Bassmaster. So there was, once you got out of the bottom 10 or 15, it really the bottom 10. Once you got out of the bottom 10, it started getting a little wishy-washy who it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting here, cutting up back and forth going, well, that ain't good. Oh, he should be fine. Wait till we do the math.
Yeah. There was some we just didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know. Yeah, Clunn won on the St. John's in 2019.
That's right.
And Wilder won on, I believe, the St. Lawrence where they just fished in 19.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Something like that. It was a smallmouth lake.
It's pretty wild, though, to think. You think winning a tournament is such a big deal, but when it comes to this, it's not as big a deal as you think it is, as far as Angler of the Year points go.
Yeah. I mean,
especially over a 3-year average.
Well, and too, like you said about like Rick Clunn's flash moments, where he'll come out of the gates in a tournament and catch a 26-pound bag, and then he'll catch 8 pounds, 12 pounds, and not even make the Saturday cut.
Well, he did that at Fork in the fall tournament for sure. At Fork in the
Yeah.
2020 fall tournament, he did it at Fork. Yep.
Yep.
He had a 30-pound bag, and then he didn't make the cut. That's wild. Well, y'all comment what y'all think stands out on that list. It's the most interesting thing that came out of this last event is to see. I mean, I don't ever remember, like always before you'd see like 10 guys get cut or maybe 15, but 23 guys getting cut off the tour at once. Now they had to do that because they've gone a couple years without cuts because of everything that's going on in the top level tournament fishing world. But it's interesting. It's very interesting to me.
Yeah. I wonder. I wonder too if it just seems so much different because of the amount of coverage that's out there now, and you get to see a lot of people on the Elite Series.
You get a lot more FaceTime.
A lot more FaceTime.
You get a lot more. You get to know them. You see them a lot more. They're more recognizable. Yeah, maybe.
So it makes it more interesting. The media coverage for sure has evolved so well over the last 10 years. It just makes it that much more. I don't know, something to watch, I guess.
Zach asked, didn't they say they wanted 100 anglers? Actually, no, they're going to 90. 90 anglers are going to be on the Elite Series. There's 100 guys on the Angler of the Year list this year. 90 anglers is where they're going to be next year, and there's 13 new ones coming in. So that's how we came up with 23 guys getting cut.
That's right.
You know, something else we've kind of been talking about a little bit lately, and we can kind of get into this, because to me it's a good discussion to tie into this, is when we look at those Angler of the Year standings, right? And now, you know, at first, when the split happened, you had the Bass Pro Tour and you had the Bassmaster Elite Series. And it's like the Bass Pro Tour, other than like Chris Zaldane and Seth Fighter and Keith Combs, there was a whole lot of unknown on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
That's right.
I mean, there were some guys, if you're like a super fan, you knew from college angling or opens or whatever. But as far as top level dudes that were household names, it was Seth Fighter, Chris Zaldane, and Keith Combs, and I'm probably missing one or two. But that was basically Rick Clunn.
Polony.
No, he was on Bass Pro Tour the first year.
Oh, the first year. Sorry.
The first year when they first split, the Bass Pro Tour had every other big name angler in the world on the Bass Pro Tour. And I would say this, and I would stand by it, and I still stand by it. I love Patrick Walters. I think Patrick Walters is one of the best anglers on planet Earth right now. I think he will continue to grow and be one of the best anglers on planet Earth. But What he did the first year or two on the Elite Series to me didn't mean as much because he's not fishing against all the names that left. You gotta beat the best to be the best.
That's right.
And if you have a field that's full of Jacob Wheeler and Jordan Lee and Kevin Van Dam and Greg Hackney at the time and Gerald Swindle at the time, it means more to beat that field, no matter what the format is. I don't care what the format is. Now, though, we've got Seth Fighter and Zaldane and Keith Combs, and we've also got Gerald Swindle and Brandon Polnick and Jason Christie and Greg Hackney and Scott Martin. And what you see in the Angler of the Year list is Brandon Polnick had a very good year, and he's third in Angler of the Year. Mm-hmm. And Hackney and Christie had respectable year, I believe, at like 9th and 11th or something like that, right?
I got it pulled up.
Yeah, 8th and 11th for Hackney and Jason Christie. Mm-hmm. Swindle was around 20. Scott Martin, I believe, was down around 40, 30-something.
42.
42. And Chris Zaldane's down at 40. And Keith Combs is below that. So my point that I want to discuss with you, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, off camera. When are we to the point where we can go, okay, these young guys,
they can fish a little bit.
These young, like these young guys that are beating this field with these guys, when are we going to go, okay, they're as good as those legendary guys are? When do we start putting
respect on their name?
Respect
on their name.
Yeah. When you put Patrick Walters in the same category as the guys that are at the top of Bass Pro Tour? Yeah. When you start putting Chris Johnston.
And Corey Johnston for that
Corey Johnston, Lee Livesey, Caleb Summerall, Brandon Cobb, Drew Cook, Austin Felix. When you start putting those top 10 Angler of the Year anglers on the same level as the Bass Pro Tour anglers, are they there now? Because they're coming in ahead of Jason Christie and Gerald Swindle and Scott Martin and Chris Zaldane and Keith Combs.
You've got enough notable names below these guys to say, okay.
There's a lot of dudes beating these guys in Angler of the Year. These legendary names that we talk about. There's a lot of guys beating them in Angler of the Year now.
Hey, I'm going to tell you a name to watch out for in the next couple of years, and you'll probably agree with me. His name is Brock Mosley. Watch out for that, man. Yeah. Watch out for that dude.
Yeah. So that what's your take on that when you're comparing the two rosters? When you start putting, how close are we to putting the same weight on a Elite Series win as we do, as far as the field goes, as we do on a Bass Pro Tour win because of the field?
I feel like it's the same.
You feel like it's the same already?
I feel like it's the same.
You feel like it's already gotten there?
Yes. And for the simple purpose of saying, okay, here's the way I judge it. Okay, you look at years past Elite Series tournaments before the split. Look at the weights it was taking. Okay, look at the weights that are coming in now.
So somebody asked me had brown water tonight. Yeah, I got brown water.
It's called tea. So what I'm saying is, look at the weights. The weights haven't changed. Okay, so these guys, what?
Okay.
I'm just saying these guys are still catching the weight that.
I hate that argument.
I mean,
I hate that argument. I want to tell you why I hate that argument. There's no way to compare that fairly because a cold front, a wind, a general fishery fishing like this, that, or the other, it can change that.
For sure.
It's not fair to judge that because if the old roster caught them to 100 pounds under tougher conditions, then they did better. Fair. And there's no way to fairly equal it. I hate that argument.
It's like an average though. You look at the last couple of years.
I hear what you're saying, and I've heard other people say it too. I respectfully, completely could not disagree more with that being a valid argument.
I mean, the way I look at it is weather happens, things happen, adjustments get made, and performances are still.
Because if you want to say that, then you could look at the Elite Series last year on the fall trail and be like, well, these guys suck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because they were going to chick and catching 70 pounds.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think
or 60 or whatever it was.
I think timing on that deal was a little bit unfair.
That's my point, though.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfair.
So if you want to say that the weights are the same, no, actually they weren't because we had a fall series last year and they sucked.
Well, but I also look at 2019, 2018, and that obviously holds more precedence to my argument.
Well, it becomes so hard to compare the weights currently because there's two different formats.
Exactly. So the way I look at the BPT format, and I know this isn't the right way to look at it. I know that's not what this format is supposed to be for, but I look at average. I look at the average weight of the fish they're catching. Because
if you look at the average of when they're counting every fish, then you look at the average when they're only counting 5, you're going to be thrown off.
But even on your minimum lakes, where they put the 2 pound minimum and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. But if you're counting every fish, your average is going to skew lower than when you're only counting 5. Like, it's going to be significantly lower.
And maybe that's just the old.
I don't honestly think there's a really, and I think that's why this makes such a good.
It's an unfair comparison.
This is why it's such an interesting debate.
Yeah.
There is no way to completely fairly compare.
You can't.
The two tours. You just have to go, well, these guys are beating this group of guys, and these guys are beating this group of guys. But man, Scott Martin and Keith Combs and Gerald Swindle are really good. And there's a lot of young guys that we didn't know 4 years ago that are beating them in angling. Like, we didn't know Austin Felix 4 years ago.
So if we were to have like a straight up NFC versus AFC type situation, what format most fairly depicts the best angler, in your opinion?
So what you do, to me, you want to have like the Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome, by the way. I think we should do this. I think this should happen.
Absolutely.
Probably won't because of some bad blood, but I wish this would happen. I've said this ever since it happened, ever since they split. They need to have we need to have one somebody big spender to come in and sponsor the Super Bowl of bass fishing and give me the top 30 or 40 in AOY from BPT and the top 30 or 40 in AOY from Bassmaster, and let's line them up. And an individual is going to win that tournament. But what you do is in that tournament, you take everybody and you average out where they finish, and you got a BPT team and a Bassmaster team, and the average placings in that tell you who wins. Dude, I would think that would be the biggest draw in bass fishing ever if it was covered right. And if it was covered right, live streamed right, promoted right, that'd be the Super Bowl bass fishing. It would be
the true test.
The Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Yeah. That's right.
It'd be the Mega Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need that.
We
kind of used to have that in the old school Toyota Texas Bass Classic. Right. Back in the day, the one that Keith Combs won in 2014 was one of the last few that was like this before Bassmaster took over and started calling it Texas Fest and all that. We used to have the Toyota Texas Bass Classic, which was sponsored independently by Texas Parks and Wildlife and Toyota. And it used to be I think Budweiser used to do it back in there or something. Anyway, Kelly Jordan actually put this event together. It started back in like 2005 or 6 or 8 or something like that. But they would take, I believe they would take either 15 or 20 from the FLW Tour, which was the other big tour back then, and 15 or 20 from the Bassmaster Tour. I think it was 20. They did 20 from Bassmaster, 20 from FLW, and they had 5 open invitations. And they would bring all those guys into one field in between tournament trail schedules, and they would fish a lake like Fork or Conroe, or they did it all in different lakes across Texas. Yeah. And those guys would have a big tournament. Whoever won that, you're the king of the world. You know, now that tournament never got as big as it should have, in my opinion. Right. It never got the live. We didn't have live media coverage back then. None of the bass fishing tournaments were covered live like that back then. So, in today's times, if you did it and you got both tours on board with supporting it and really covered it and promoted it right, bro, it would be the deal, man.
Yeah, it'd be.
What do you think?
That'd be the most eyeballs on a fishing tournament ever. And what you could do is you could do it like...
And I like the idea of only, like, no open invitations. Only draw the top, let's say 30 and 30, right? Let's get 60 anglers.
Because you still got to have a cut.
I think 60s. No cuts. Let's just fish 3 days, 4 days, however many days. No cuts. Or maybe we do cuts. That's fine. But let's get 60 anglers in the field so we don't overcrowd the lake. We can go to Fork, and it's not a big deal to have 60 on Fork. We can go to lake that size, you know. We can go to Ray Roberts if we want to. I don't know why we'd want to do that.
You do it on Fork.
You'd have to do it on. You'd almost have to do it on Fork. Yeah.
This is your Lake Fork guide. We do it on Fork.
Yeah, I'm with you. But you take the top 30 angler of the year from Bass Pro Tour, and the top 30 angler of the year from Bassmaster Elite Series, and then you line those guys up, and an individual wins it, and he wins the cash prize from the sponsor dollars and all that. But you have the tour on tour deal, right? For either Boyd Duckett, who runs Bassmaster now? Anderson's. Is it Anderson? Chase Anderson?
Don't get me lying.
I think it's the Anderson. So either Boyd Duckett or Chase Anderson or whoever the head of Bassmaster is, they're taking home a trophy, and that's based on the entire Bass Pro Tour roster, where their average finish is and where the Bassmaster Elite Series are. Whoever has the higher average finish, and then we can say for sure the guys on Bass Pro Tour are better than guys on Bassmaster this year.
It's like Verizon versus AT&T.
And we do it every year. Yeah. We do it every year.
Love it.
I think it would be great. I'll tell you what you ought to do. Get that little gadget out right there and pull up the Bass Pro Tour Angler of the Year standings. And I've got, on this phone right here, I've got the Bassmaster standings, I think, already right here on my browser. Yep, I sure do. Let's go down the list and compare what 30 and 30 would be.
I like it.
Just follow us down our road, folks. Let's just imagine how fun this would be. This is a good idea. 4-day tournament. 2 days MLF style, 2 days BASS style. 2 days top 5 and 2 days everything over 2 pounds. You got it?
I think this is AOI. They do their points a lot different.
Where is John Cox on both lists? John Cox is well above the cut line, and he's not factored into the we're going to get you out of here list. I know that. John Cox came in 45th on Bassmaster this year.
It says it's still loading.
What is this?
That's Bass Pro Tour results.
That's one stage. You need to go Angler of the Year, Han.
I don't think it has it on the.
Well, then search it. Just Google search Angler of the Year Bass Pro Tour. You gotta hold his hand through everything. Bear with us, folks. We're gonna do this hypothetical tournament deal. It's gonna be amazing. I feel good about this. I feel like this is gonna be an awesome thing to do. David Garner says, I wonder if Poche is wanting out of BPT. He's 4th in the open division he's fishing. If he moves up one spot, he qualifies for the elites. He could be. He could be. And listen, there's a lot of guys that can leave on Bass Pro Tour after this year because they signed a 3-year contract. This is the 3rd year. So any of those guys are going to be free to leave if they want to, but they got to qualify. That's the other aspect of it.
You ready?
Okay. All right. Here we go. This is the top 30 list. We're going to go 1 for 1.
All right.
Bassmaster Elite Series #1 draft pick for the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl tournament is going to be Seth Fighter.
I got Odd Defoe.
And then we got Chris Johnston,
Brent Ayler.
Brandon Polinick.
Jacob Wheeler.
This is ridiculous. Patrick Walters.
Bobby Lane.
Corey Johnston.
Justin Lucas.
Lee Livesey.
Gerald Spohr.
Caleb Summerall.
Alton Jones Jr.
Greg Hackney.
Michael Neal.
Brandon Cobb.
Stephen Browning.
Drew Cook.
Jeff Sprague.
Jason Christie.
Brent Chapman.
Oh my God, this is insane. Austin Felix.
Greg Vinson.
Wes Logan.
Dustin Cannell.
Brock Mosley.
Fletcher Shroud.
Shane LaHue.
Shin Fuke.
Whoa, easy. Careful how you say that one.
Yeah.
Taku Ito.
Skeet Reese.
Brandon Lester.
Luke Clausen.
Hank Cherry.
Mark Davis.
Gerald Swindle.
Andy Montgomery.
Luke Palmer.
John Cox.
John Cruz.
Mark Daniels Jr.
Kyle Welcher.
Edwin Evers.
Gussie.
Kevin Van Dam.
Brandon Card.
Casey Ashley.
Buddy Gross.
Gagliardi.
Hunter Schrott.
Takahiro Amori.
Josh Strackner.
Josh Bertrand.
Matt Herron.
Alton Jones.
Steve Kennedy.
Ish Monroe.
My last guy in is Drew Benton.
Jesse Wiggins.
Bro, I would pay any amount of money to watch that tournament. Like, if it's pay-per-view for $500, sold. I'll run an extra guide trip on a day I don't have. I don't know. I'll just make up a day and fit an extra guide trip. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm paying $500 on pay-per-view for that.
I'll run a guide trip to pay for it.
And then we watch it together.
That's right.
Yes. That would be the most incredible event ever, dude.
I would get more excited for that than an actual, like, Super Bowl.
Like that top, let's go down to top 10. Let's just read them off real fast again. You ready?
10.
All right, we're doing top 10. Just how would you like to see all these guys fishing against each other? Seth Fighter,
Odd Defoe.
Chris Johnston,
Brent Ayler.
Brandon Polinick,
Jacob Wheeler.
Patrick Walters,
Bobby Lane.
Corey Johnston,
Justin Lucas.
Lee Livesey,
Gerald Spohr.
Caleb Summerall,
Alton Jones Jr.
Greg Hackney,
Michael Neal.
Brandon Cobb,
Stephen Browning.
Drew Cook.
Jeff Sprague.
Dude, And I'm going to tell you what else. Reading those lists side by side.
Yeah, like where's the comparison?
I'm kind of thinking that it's equal.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten. We're going to wrap this whole thing up in a nice little bow right here. This conversation we've been having about when are we going to call the Bassmaster rosters good. I think it's there
right now.
When you read those lists, the top 30 side by side, I'm not seeing a huge advantage on either side.
No, not at all. And that's what I'm saying. Like
there's not even a noticeable advantage on either side.
And maybe the way that I formulated my answer as to whether I'm going to do it now or we got a couple years. Maybe that's everybody's cup of tea. But
yeah,
you start going down that list and you're like,
to me, that's the best way to do it. It's just to look at the names and think about what they've done in the sport, because there is so many variables in the different formats and the different lakes and the different times of year and so many variables in fishing. Just fishing, it's random every day at times.
Right.
But when you sit there and just look at the list and think about what this list has done and what this list has done, dude,
I'm there.
I think it's pretty equal.
It's hard to argue, for sure.
What do y'all think? It sounded like an equal list to me.
Yeah.
David Wall said, "I'll give up a week's pay to see that go to." Can we make this happen? Can the Your Lake? Listen, we're not a real big platform. Can your Lake Fort God Nation create enough demand for this event that this actually happens?
I wish I had personal emails. I'd be writing one right now.
Bro, this needs to happen.
Yeah.
This would be the most awesome tournament of all time.
And like even bad blood aside, it would do so much for the sport.
It would be great for the sport. It would be. It would be great for the sport.
The industry, the sport as a whole would do nothing but benefit from this. Hey, and can I say something off topic?
Hold on. We got to answer this real quick. Mark, I can't even pronounce your last name. Yotski, I think it is. Mark says the Johnston boys away from North, they're going to get schooled. You haven't been paying attention, bro. They're both in the top 5 in AOY.
Yeah.
They're literally 2nd and 5th in Angler of the Year, and they just got to the North last week.
That's right. Yeah.
They didn't get top 5 AOY by sucking all year.
Yeah, them Johnston boys did
good everywhere.
They held down.
They did great everywhere.
They held down for Canada.
They 2nd and 5th in Angler of the Year. The last 2 events were the only events in the North.
See, and it gets a little bit overshadowed on Corey's end because Corey was really consistent in where he finished a lot, but Chris Johnston was in just about every tournament.
I know. I'm telling you.
I mean, you don't finish AOY like you said.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris. I'll tell you what, Mark. Chris Johnston, he sucked so bad for 6 of the 8 events in the South that he finished ahead of Brandon Polnick and Patrick Walters, Patrick Walters, until he got up north, was right on Seth Fighter's butt, and he was consistent all year. No disrespect, brother. No disrespect. I know I can understand why you would think that, but the data, the stats say different.
And you know what? I'm gonna do something real quick. Carry on. I'm gonna pull up 20.
2020
Yeah,
AOY?
Pull up 20, because I think that'll shock you too with those 2 names.
Oh no, yeah, they're amazing.
They're good.
It's not going to shock you. 16th for Corey. Oh, Chris is on down.
You just passed him.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yep, 33rd. So not bad.
No.
Not bad.
They're still part of the conversation. Always.
Chris Tipton says that's an equal roster for sure. I'd pay big money to see that tournament. I think we all would.
Yeah.
Will, I'm not even going to try to say Will's last name because I'll end up saying a bad word. It's been equal for a long time, and all those guys still had to come up through Bassmaster Opens which are arguably some of the toughest. Yeah, the Bassmaster Open Series that's the toughest way to qualify onto a trail. But a lot of those guys didn't have to qualify through the Bass. So when we had the mass exodus to the Bass Pro Tour, there was a lot of extended invitations to fill the Bassmaster Elite Series roster. And to me, that's where the debate came in of, is this roster as good as the other roster? But 3 years later, I don't really think there's an argument. I think it's the same.
When the split happened, there was a bunch of doors open up that normally would have been boarded up. But yeah. But I think now we're to the point where
Well, you get a guy like, and he's easy one to point to because he's from Lake Fork. So Lee Livesey, he gets on there. He did not qualify through the Opens. He barely missed it. A couple different times he barely missed it.
Yep.
And that goes to show how difficult it is to qualify through the Opens because Lee missed it several times. He'd been, for a few years, he'd been trying to qualify through the Opens, and he didn't. He never did. But when that mass exodus happened and those spots opened up, because he was right below, he almost made it through the Opens, but he didn't make the cut. He was one of the guys they extended the invitation to. He accepts that invitation. He's won 2 Elite Series events in 3 years.
And what did he finish 6th in AOY this year?
No, I think he was higher than that. I don't know. I have to go back and pull it back up. But
He was top 10.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think he was top 5. He was 6th. You're right. He was 6th. Yeah. Don't argue with the guy here, man. Yeah, he was 6th in Angler of the Year this year.
And that guy did not qualify through the Open.
His rookie year, the first year he was out there, I believe he was top 10 or 15 AOY then. We can pull that up real quick, too. He was way on up there. Now, in 2020, he had a tough season, and he was on down the list. But he was 40 or 50 or 60, whatever he was on down the list. But so his rookie year, he was 15th in AOY as a rookie.
Yeah.
He's the 15th best dude on the Bassmaster and didn't even qualify through the Opens. And he's already won 2 events and is now 6th in AOY. And he has apparently started figuring out how to catch smallmouth. Because he just had 2 good events on Champlain and St. Lawrence. And if that cat's already figured out how to catch smallmouth, y'all better watch out for Lee Livesey over the next foreseeable future on the Bassmaster Elite Series, because that was a hole in his game when they went north.
Yeah.
But you let that guy get the smallmouth deal figured out, and then he gets on a good roll down here in the south, he's good as anybody.
Yep, I agree.
And he'll be dangerous for time to come, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Pretty interesting stuff. We got to talk a lot of tournament stuff today.
We did.
This will probably be the last time you hear us talking professional level. What's Bass Pro Tour may have something come up we can cover, but Bassmaster Elite Series done for the year. Little somber note there. But on the next few weeks, we'll try to get some guys on the phone calls. We'll try to get Mercer on the phone call and do a wrap up of the season with us. And maybe we can get old Frank back on and Stetson play like we've been talking about getting him on. I need to follow up with him on that and get that done. But great Elite Series season this year.
Yep, very good. Very good. One of my favorite seasons to watch.
Tons of fun and left you wanting more, really.
Yeah.
Really did. Really did.
Man, after
it
last
makes me
year-
really want the Mega Bowl, honestly.
Bro, after last year, having tournaments all throughout the year.
It feels like this has been the longest Elite Series ever, because it basically was like we had that big break in the middle of last year because of COVID, and then the summer and fall series started, and it went through the end of November, and it started back up in February or whatever it did, and it's like it feels like we've been watching the Elite Series since the end of last summer, almost for a straight year.
I know.
And now we're going to have a break from now. What are we going to do, Chris?
I'm not.
What are we going to do with ourselves?
The only other sport I'll be watching is NASCAR. I promise you that much.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll
Rodeo.
watch college football.
Watch some rodeo.
I watch some college.
They don't kneel at the anthem at the rodeo, I can tell you that.
I watch some college football. I watch some Aggies.
I mean, I love football,
I watch it.
but I hate all the political crap that gets involved in it.
See, and it has not quite made it to College Station. So.
No,
And it will
no.
So-
For as liberal as all the colleges are, them boys down there in Aggie land ain't playing that. No,
Now,
that's the
so
most conservative
until
major
I,
university.
Until I see a knee touch the turf, I'm gonna watch me some Aggies.
And we got a local boy going to be quarterbacking for him, supposedly.
I don't know, Haynes King.
Haynes King from Longview, Texas.
Dude's got a rocket.
Yes.
He-
His dad, John King, is one of the best high school football coaches you'll ever find over at Longview, John King. And John King's really good friends with a really good friend of mine, so I know John through him, and good people.
Good people.
Zach, funny story. Zach Watts actually knows John King from growing up. They know each other in Louisiana. They're all from South Louisiana. Yeah, they all know each other. And Zach has a great nickname for Coach King that I can't say on air.
Fair.
But they're from South Louisiana, so what else would you expect?
Yeah.
That being said, we'll wrap this up and say cheers to the Bassmaster Elite Series on an awesome season. Great job done by all there. And cheers to us for having a fun time watching it. And cheers to all of you guys for hanging out with us on the Fish Live podcast. Remember, we are the lowest budget. It's actually a live podcast out there. That makes all of you guys the low ballers. Appreciate y'all. Chris, do that thing you did.
I just wish the weather would warm up a little bit.
That was a great podcast, and you just run it with a crappy ending.
No way.
Way to go.
Gig and Maggie's.